your pocket change could be worth a fortune. Some Lincoln pennies from 1958, 1975, and 1999 carry rare mint errors and varieties that sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And don't forget the 1995 Jefferson nickel. Certain errors and double dies make it a true collector's prize. Before you spend that change, check closely. You might be holding hidden treasure. Let me take you into the world of coins where a single penny can rewrite someone's financial story. And today, that story revolves around the 1975 U.S. 1-cent penny error coin. To most people, a penny isn't worth much. It's the smallest denomination, often brushed aside or left behind on counters, tossed into jars, or ignored entirely. But hidden within some of these seemingly ordinary copper-colored coins are mistakes made at the U.S. Mint, mistakes that transformed them from just 1 cent into treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking about error pennies that have fetched staggering amounts at auctions, and in the case of the 1975 penny error, its value can range anywhere from $68,000 all the way up to $140,500 depending on the rarity and condition. That's right. A coin you might think is worthless could actually be the equivalent of winning a small lottery. To appreciate how this coin became so valuable, we need to look at the year 1975 itself. The U.S. Mint was already preparing to make changes for America's upcoming bicentennial in 1976, which meant coin production was under intense pressure. Every coin had to be made with precision and speed to keep up with national demand. But whenever coins are being produced in the millions, human error and machine glitches can creep in, and that's when things get interesting. For the 1975 Lincoln cent, one of the most notable issues comes in the form of error varieties, misstrikes, off-center strikes, double die obverse, and even missing details that create a unique fingerprint for each coin. Collectors know these aren't flaws to avoid but treasures to chase because errors that occur on such coins are one of a kind, and rarity is the very fuel that drives astronomical value in the coin collecting world. Now, let's dive deeper into why the 1975 penny has been turning heads among collectors. First, we have to remember that 1975 was a transitional time for U.S. coinage. The Lincoln cent was still being made from a primarily copper composition, unlike later years when zinc became the base material. Copper coins already carry their own charm and durability, but when something unusual happens during minting, like a misaligned die causing a part of Lincoln's profile to appear doubled, or a dramatic off-center strike where only part of the design shows, the penny transforms into something much more than pocket change. An ordinary example might still only be worth face value, but when collectors see an error that's rare, beautiful, and historic, the demand skyrockets, and so does the price. That's how we get to the point where a single 1975 penny can command an auction price between $68,000 and $140,500. Think about this for a moment. A coin that most people would dismiss as spare change could buy you a luxury car, pay off a chunk of a mortgage, or cover a college education. This is what makes error coins so fascinating, because unlike most investments that require years of savings, these treasures can be hiding in your coin jar, waiting to be discovered. And the 1975 penny has a special allure because error examples are not easy to find. Some collectors have spent years searching without success, and others have stumbled upon one purely by accident. That thrill of discovery is part of what makes these coins legendary in the numismatic world. One of the standout error types for the 1975 penny is the double die obverse. This happens when the design on the coin is imprinted twice but slightly misaligned, causing features like the date, the word Liberty, or even Lincoln's profile to appear doubled. When this error occurs clearly and dramatically, collectors go wild for it, driving the price upward. Another fascinating error comes from off-center strikes, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the press and only part of the design struck the coin. Depending on how extreme the off-center strike is, these errors can bring incredible prices. Combine rarity with the fact that these coins have survived nearly 5 decades, and it's no wonder collectors are willing to pay fortunes for them. But what truly elevates the 1975 penny error into a legendary status is how few examples exist in pristine condition. Most pennies circulate heavily, getting scratched, worn, and damaged through daily use. That's why when one turns up in near mint or mint state, the value multiplies drastically. If you ever stumble upon a 1975 penny with a noticeable error, The condition becomes critical in determining whether it sits closer to the lower end of $68,000 or soars toward the upper figure of $140,500. That massive price gap shows just how much collectors value rarity combined with preservation. Collectors and enthusiasts often share stories of the 1975 penny error turning up in the most unexpected places. Some coins are discovered in inherited collections, others in rolls of pennies obtained directly from banks, and a few even appear in pocket change. The idea that such a small, overlooked coin can hold the power to transform someone's financial situation adds to the mystique and excitement. In fact, every time a new auction listing appears for one of these error pennies, the numismatic world buzzes with speculation about how much it will sell for, and those sales often set new benchmarks for value. The story of the 1975 penny is also a reminder of how human error and mechanical imperfections can create something extraordinary. While the U.S. Mint's goal is always to produce flawless coins, perfection isn't what collectors seek. Perfection makes coins common, predictable, and boring. Imperfection, whether it's a double design, a misaligned strike, or missing elements, creates uniqueness, and uniqueness is what turns a penny into a treasure. The very flaws that the Mint might try to eliminate are the same quirks that drive collectors to open their wallets wide. For anyone watching this video right now, the takeaway is simple. Never dismiss the coins you come across, no matter how ordinary they seem. Pay close attention to the details, especially with coins from transitional years like 1975. Look for doubling on the lettering, off-center designs, or anything that seems unusual. What might look like a mistake could actually be the marker of a coin worth life-changing money. And yes, that's not an exaggeration, because one of these pennies in flawless condition can land you anywhere from $68,000 to $140,500. So, if you've got a jar of coins at home, or if you ever find yourself sorting through change, don't overlook the humble pennies. Among them could be the elusive 1975 error penny, waiting silently for decades to be discovered. Collectors dream of finding it, and stories of ordinary people stumbling upon valuable coins continue to inspire more searches every day. It's a perfect blend of history, chance, and reward. The world of coin collecting proves that value isn't always about face value. Sometimes, it's about the story, the rarity, and the unexpected beauty that comes from mistakes. And the 1975 penny is one of the finest examples of this. From a simple coin intended for everyday use, it transformed into a highly sought-after collectible worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, for those lucky enough to find one. So, before you dismiss that old penny as worthless, take a second look. Could be one of the rarest treasures hiding in plain sight. And who knows, the very next 1975 penny you come across might not just be worth 1 cent. It could be worth up to $140,500, changing your life in ways you never imagined. The 1999 U.S. 1-cent penny is a coin that most people would glance at, toss into a jar, or slip into a vending machine without a second thought. But what if I told you that this very coin, a penny from the final year of the 20th century, could carry a value so shocking it might completely change how you view the spare change in your pocket? We're talking about error pennies, and one specific variety from 1999 has been auctioned and valued in ranges between $44,000 to $120,000. Yes, a simple 1-cent coin minted in huge numbers, overlooked by nearly everyone, could be the kind of discovery that leaves you holding a fortune. And the most fascinating part? Many of these coins are still floating around in circulation, hiding in plain sight. When 1999 rolled around, it wasn't just the end of another decade. It was the end of an era. The century was closing, the millennium was about to turn, and the U.S. Mint was busier than ever, preparing not only for its regular coinage but also for the launch of the state quarter program that began in 1999. With so much demand, so many dies, and countless coins being struck, the environment for minting mistakes and striking errors was perfect. These mistakes, often caught and destroyed, sometimes slipped through. That's how we get these rarities, the anomalies that collectors chase after. The 1999 Lincoln cent wasn't meant to be special. It features the classic design. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But here's where things take a twist. Certain 1999 pennies were struck with dramatic errors. Some were double die strikes, where the image is duplicated slightly because of a misaligned hubbing process. Others included off-center strikes, broad strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine expecting a penny and ending up with one minted on a dime planchet, thinner, lighter, and completely out of the ordinary. That's the kind of error that can launch the value of a 1-cent coin into the tens of thousands. And it's not just speculation, real sales back this up. Auction houses and private collectors have snapped up these 1999 penny errors for jaw-dropping sums. One coin that initially looked like nothing more than a curiosity to an untrained eye went under the hammer for tens of thousands of dollars, shocking everyone who hadn't realized the hidden value of an ordinary-looking cent. The price range of $44,000 to $120,000 isn't a fairy tale. It's a real reflection of what collectors are willing to pay for a slice of numismatic history. But why? Why would someone pay six figures for a penny? Comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. An error coin isn't just another piece of money. It's a tangible mistake from one of the most precise and important institutions in the country. When the U.S. Mint makes a mistake, it's like lightning striking. It's not supposed to happen, yet when it does, the results become treasures. The 1999 penny error represents the unpredictability of minting, combined with the historical significance of its date, the very edge of a new millennium. Collectors know that every year has its oddities, but 1999 holds a special allure. It's not just about Lincoln's face or the Lincoln Memorial. It's about a coin struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was under heavy production stress, when small slip-ups could become monumental treasures. Some coins from this year show dramatic doubling on the date or lettering, creating a shadow effect that makes them instantly recognizable. Others ended up with mismatched planchets, where a coin meant to be a penny ended up being struck on a piece of metal meant for another denomination. Those are the jackpot finds that make collectors go wild. What makes this even more exciting is the possibility that some of these coins are still out there. Error coins don't always get discovered immediately. They slip into circulation where they're used in everyday transactions. A 1999 penny error could have bought gum, a soda, or been shoved into a piggy bank years ago. And today, it could be sitting in a drawer in your house, waiting for someone to look closely and realize its true value. That's why coin collectors always emphasize checking your change carefully. It's like treasure hunting without even leaving your home. Another factor that raises the stakes on these coins is condition. A 1999 penny error in rough, circulated shape might still bring in thousands, but a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition? That's where the numbers climb into the tens of thousands, even past $100,000. The difference between a circulated coin and one graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can be astronomical. The grading process gives assurance of authenticity and condition, two elements collectors and investors are willing to pay top dollar for. And it's not just hardcore coin collectors chasing after these errors. Investors, history buffs, and even casual hobbyists have gotten into the game. The thrill of holding something so rare and valuable, something that should never have left the mint, adds a layer of excitement. For some, it's about profit. For others, it's about owning a piece of history. Either way, the demand pushes the value into that incredible range of $44,000 to $120,000. Now, here's the real kicker. If you have a 1999 penny, and you take just a moment to study it, you might spot something off. Maybe the lettering looks doubled. Maybe the strike looks a little crooked. Maybe the coin feels thinner or lighter. These could be the signs of an error, the kind of signs that turn a penny into a life-changing discovery. Coin collectors have countless stories of people who thought they had nothing but pocket change, only to find they were holding a small fortune. Let's also talk about the emotional side of these coins. Finding one isn't just about money. It's about the feeling of uncovering a hidden gem. It's about knowing that out of the billions of coins minted in 1999, you happen to stumble across one of the incredibly rare few with an error. That feeling of luck and discovery is what drives the hobby, what keeps collectors scanning through jars of pennies year after year. And when you combine that emotional rush with the potential of $120,000, it's no wonder these coins have captured so much attention. Think of it this way. If you walked past a penny on the sidewalk today, would you pick it up? Most people wouldn't. But what if that penny turned out to be one of these errors, worth as much as a luxury car? or even more than some houses. That changes everything. That's why stories like the 1999 penny error captivate so many people. They remind us that sometimes the most ordinary things hide extraordinary value. The 1999 penny error is more than just a coin. It's a reminder of how unpredictable history can be, how mistakes can turn into treasures, and how even the smallest piece of copper can hold life-changing value. So the next time you see a penny, don't just dismiss it. Look closer, because it might just be one of these rare errors, the kind that transforms a coin worth 1 cent into a treasure worth between $44,000 and $120,000. Now the question is, could you be the next person to discover one? Check your change, check your jars, check those forgotten piggy banks. Because hiding among the ordinary, you just might find the extraordinary. The story of the 1958 United States 5-cent coin error is one of those tales that keeps collectors awake at night, their imaginations running wild with the thought that a life-changing discovery might be hiding right under their noses. To most people, a nickel is a nickel. It buys a piece of candy, gets tossed into a change jar, or disappears between the couch cushions without much thought. But in 1958, a series of minting errors occurred that would elevate a handful of these seemingly ordinary nickels into the realm of extraordinary treasures. We're not talking about coins worth a few dollars or even a few hundred. We're talking about coins so rare and so valuable that they've been sold at prices ranging between $72,000 and an astonishing $152,500. And that's for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up if they saw it on the sidewalk. To understand why the 1958 nickel error is so extraordinary, it's important to first look at the coin itself. The 5-cent piece of that era bore the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. Jefferson's face had already become a fixture of American coinage, with his stately gaze and the inscription, "In God We Trust," arched above his head, accompanied by the date 1958, neatly stamped on the right. On the reverse, Schlag's design depicted Jefferson's beloved home, Monticello, with its classical dome and detailed facade, along with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum and United States of America. For years, this design had circulated without much fanfare, serving as a workhorse coin in everyday transactions. But 1958 was different. Something happened at the United States Mint that year, something no one could have predicted. Whether it was a misaligned die, a double die error, or even a rare off-metal strike, a small number of nickels escaped the minting presses with unusual flaws that collectors today consider priceless. These errors transformed the coin from an everyday object into a masterpiece of rarity. And because the mint had incredibly strict quality controls even back then, the fact that any of these flawed nickels slipped into circulation at all is nothing short of remarkable. When collectors talk about the 1958 nickel error, one of the most legendary variations is the double die. On these coins, the details of the inscriptions or Monticello itself appear faintly doubled, as if the coin had been struck twice but slightly misaligned. To the untrained eye, it might look like a small blur or shadow, but to numismatists, it's the unmistakable hallmark of an error that can multiply the coin's value many times over. Another error that surfaced in this year is the off-center strike, where the coin blank wasn't positioned correctly in the press. As a result, Jefferson's portrait or Monticello appears shifted or even partially cut off. Sometimes these errors are dramatic, with a large blank crescent of unstruck metal showing. Other times they are more subtle, making collectors look twice before realizing what they found. There are also tales of 1958 nickels struck on the wrong planchet altogether. Instead of being pressed onto the standard nickel planchet, a few were struck on blanks meant for pennies, dimes, or even foreign coins. This results in a coin that's the wrong size, the wrong weight, or even the wrong color. Imagine seeing Jefferson's face on a copper-colored coin instead of nickel. Such a mistake not only shocks the eye but sends the value of the coin skyrocketing. These errors didn't just escape unnoticed, they entered circulation, meaning that they could have ended up anywhere. One might have passed through thousands of hands in everyday transactions before someone finally spotted it. Others may have been tucked away unknowingly into piggy banks or coin jars, forgotten for decades. That's part of the mystery that keeps collectors on the hunt. It's not just about owning a rare coin. It's about the possibility that you could stumble upon one in the most ordinary of places. The prices these coins command are nothing short of breathtaking. At auction, Examples of the 1958 nickel error have sold for as low as $72,000 and as high as $152,500. Stop and think about that for a moment. A 5-cent coin that cost the mint practically nothing to produce, a coin most people would toss into a drawer or spend without hesitation, is worth more than a luxury car, more than a year of college tuition at some of the top universities, and in some cases more than the down payment on a house. The staggering value is driven by rarity, condition, and the insatiable demand among collectors for coins that tell a story unlike any other. Condition plays a crucial role in determining just how high a 1958 nickel error can soar in value. A coin that has circulated heavily, with scratches, dings, and wear, will still fetch a premium price because of its rarity. But a pristine specimen, one that has been preserved in mint state with sharp details and gleaming surfaces, can easily push toward the higher end of the valuation range. Collectors are always willing to pay top dollar for coins that appear untouched, as if they just rolled off the minting press yesterday. That's why professional grading services play such an important role in this market. A coin certified and graded by an authority adds legitimacy and reassurance for buyers who might spend six figures on a single nickel. What makes this story even more fascinating is the contrast between the ordinary and the extraordinary. On one hand, the 1958 nickel is one of the most common coins of its time, with millions struck and circulated without anyone giving them much thought. On the other hand, hidden among those millions are a tiny handful of errors that elevate the coin into legend. It's a reminder that sometimes the rarest treasures are hiding in plain sight, mixed in with the everyday and the mundane, waiting to be discovered by the sharp-eyed and the lucky. Collectors often recount stories of stumbling upon their rare finds in the most unexpected places. A roll of nickels bought from a bank teller, a handful of change from a diner, an old coin jar that had been sitting in a dusty attic for years. Each of these scenarios carries the thrilling possibility of discovery. And while most rolls and jars contain nothing more than ordinary coins, the thought that just one might hold a 1958 error nickel worth upwards of $100,000 keeps the hunt alive. There is also an emotional dimension to these coins. They are more than just monetary instruments. They are tiny artifacts of history. The errors themselves are accidents, flaws that should never have happened, and yet those very flaws have given them immortality. Every 1958 nickel error carries with it a story of chance, of human imperfection in the highly mechanized process of minting. They stand as symbols of the unpredictable nature of life itself. How mistakes can turn into treasures, how the unexpected can become the most valuable of all. When these coins appear at auction, the atmosphere is electric. Collectors from around the world bid fiercely, knowing that opportunities to own such rarities come only once in a lifetime. The numbers climb rapidly, pushing past 72,000, past 100,000, sometimes breaking the $150,000 mark. For the winner, the moment is unforgettable. They aren't just buying a coin. They're buying a piece of history, a symbol of luck, rarity, and the enduring allure of numismatics. And that allure extends far beyond the collector's community. Stories of the 1958 nickel error have made their way into mainstream media, sparking renewed interest in coin hunting among everyday people. Suddenly, change jars that had been ignored for years were being emptied and carefully examined. Kids and adults alike started peering at nickels with magnifying glasses, hoping to catch a glimpse of doubling, misalignment, or an odd coloration. The thought that an ordinary coin could secretly be worth as much as a luxury home renovation has inspired countless treasure hunts in living rooms and kitchens across America. The beauty of it all is that these treasures are still out there. Not all of them have been found. Some may remain tucked away in forgotten drawers. Others may still be circulating quietly, passed from hand to hand in everyday transactions. The possibility that you could stumble across one today adds a thrilling edge to the simple act of checking your change. So what does the story of the 1958 nickel error teach us? It teaches us to look closer, to pay attention to the small details that others might overlook. It reminds us that value isn't always tied to size, age, or even intended design. Sometimes, it's the flaws, the imperfections that make something truly priceless. And perhaps most importantly, it shows us that extraordinary discoveries can come from the most ordinary places. A simple 5-cent coin, overlooked by millions, has the power to change a life. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare 1958-era nickels, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a story, a treasure, and a fortune worth between $72,000 and $152,500. Every nickel you see from 1958 carries the potential for wonder. Some are just nickels, small and unassuming. But a select few hold secrets that have stunned collectors and auction houses alike. The next time you come across one, look closer. That ordinary coin might just be the extraordinary treasure you've been waiting for all along. The 1995 U.S. 5-cent coin, known to most as the Jefferson nickel, is one of those hidden treasures. With a rare minting error, this coin has shocked collectors and investors alike, fetching jaw-dropping prices at auctions ranging anywhere from $45,000 all the way to an astounding $128,500. Imagine holding a nickel worth more than a luxury car or even enough to buy an entire house. That's the magic of the 1995-era nickel, and that's why it has become one of the most talked about discoveries among modern coin collectors. To understand why the 1995 5-cent coin error is so valuable, let's take a step back and look at the coin itself. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel and carrying on the tradition of honoring American history and leadership. Its obverse design features a profile portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, created by artist Felix Schlag. The reverse side shows Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, a neoclassical masterpiece that stands as a symbol of Jefferson's intellect, vision, and contributions to the nation. By 1995, the Jefferson nickel had already been in production for nearly 6 decades. Billions of nickels rolled off the presses that year, most of them ordinary. But among those billions, a small handful emerged with mistakes, errors that would ultimately transform them into rare and valuable treasures. Minting errors can happen in a variety of ways. Sometimes a coin is struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing or distorted. Other times, a coin might be struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as a blank meant for another denomination, creating a coin with the wrong size, weight, or metal composition. In some cases, the dies that press the design onto the coin develop cracks or shifts, producing doubling effects that make the design look ghostly or unusual. And in 1995, certain Jefferson nickels came out of the mint with precisely these kinds of rare and fascinating errors. Collectors who stumble upon these flawed coins know immediately they are looking at something extraordinary. While an ordinary 1995 nickel might be worth only its face value of 5 cents, the error versions stand out with unique characteristics. Some have dramatic off-center strikes, where Jefferson's face is pushed to the edge, leaving a blank crescent of metal on the coin. Others show doubling on the lettering, making words like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear almost like they were typed twice. And the most remarkable examples are those struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime blank, making the nickel design appear smaller and oddly proportioned. These errors are not just mistakes. They're accidents frozen in time, relics of imperfection that slipped past quality control and found their way into circulation. The rarity of these coins is what drives their value into the stratosphere. When one appears at auction, collectors know they are competing for a piece of history that might never show up again in the same form. And that's why prices for the 1995 5-cent coin error can soar from $45,000 to as much as $128,500. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these coins in your pocket, only to realize you're holding a life-changing discovery. That's what makes the hunt so addictive for coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters alike. Picture this. A man in the Midwest is sorting through a box of old coins left behind by his grandfather. Most of the coins are ordinary nickels, dimes, and quarters, but one 1995 nickel catches his eye. Something about it looks different. He examines it under a magnifying glass and notices the design is off-center. Curious, he sends it to a professional grading service. Weeks later, he gets the results back. It's a rare 1995-era nickel, authenticated and graded at a high level. At auction, the coin sells for more than $70,000. What started as a casual glance at an old family collection turned into an unexpected windfall that changed his life. Stories like this are why collectors never stop checking their change. But what is it about error coins that makes people so fascinated with them? Part of it is the mystery. Billions of coins are minted each year, yet only a handful slip through with mistakes. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but that needle could be worth 6 figures. Another part is the uniqueness. No two errors are exactly alike. Even if 2 nickels are both off-center, the angle and the amount of missing design will differ, making each coin one of a kind. For collectors, owning something truly unique is worth every penny, and sometimes a lot more than pennies. Condition also plays a huge role in value. A coin that has circulated heavily, showing scratches and wear, will still be valuable if it has a dramatic error, but the price won't compare to an uncirculated specimen with sharp details and original luster. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades to coins, and higher grades mean higher prices. A 1995 era nickel in pristine condition is the kind of coin that fetches those record-breaking prices of $128,500. The market for these coins is driven not just by hardcore collectors but also by investors. People see rare coins as tangible assets, much like art or rare stamps. They're physical objects with history, rarity, and value that tends to increase over time. And because era coins like the 1995 nickel are so rare, they're often considered blue-chip investments in the world of numismatics. This is why bidding wars break out at auctions when one of these coins comes up for sale. Everyone knows it could be years before another example surfaces. And here's the most exciting part: you could still find one of these coins today. Unlike ancient coins or limited commemorative issues, the 1995 Jefferson nickel was a circulation coin. That means billions of them went into everyday commerce. While most era nickels have been identified and preserved by now, there's always a chance that one could still be hiding in a coin jar, a bankroll, or even pocket change. That possibility keeps collectors searching with hope and anticipation. Think about the ripple effect of such a discovery. You start by noticing a small detail, like lettering that looks doubled or Jefferson's face being oddly placed. You look it up, confirm your suspicions, and suddenly realize you're holding a nickel worth as much as a luxury sports car. It's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of the find, the satisfaction of uncovering something hidden in plain sight. That's why coin collecting remains such a popular and passionate hobby. The story of the 1995 era nickel is also a reminder of how human and mechanical flaws create unexpected beauty and value. The mints machines are designed for precision, yet even the tiniest misalignment or mishap can produce something extraordinary. These coins are accidents, yes, but they're also symbols of imperfection turned into perfection by the eyes of collectors. So the next time you find yourself with a handful of change, take a closer look. Don't just toss those nickels into a drawer without a second thought. Study the dates, examine the designs, and pay attention to anything that looks unusual. Because hidden among the ordinary could be a rare 1995 5-cent era coin, waiting to reveal itself and transform your 5-cent piece into a treasure worth between $45,000 and $128,500 in the end. The 1995 U.S. 5-cent coin era is more than just currency. It's a story of chance, rarity, and the incredible potential value hiding in the most ordinary objects of daily life. It's a reminder that treasure hunting doesn't always happen on distant shores or in ancient ruins. Sometimes it happens in your pocket, at your kitchen table, or at the checkout counter of your local grocery store. And maybe, just maybe, your next nickel will be the one that changes everything.